Hey, this is Justin. I'm just talking about topics in decentralization. And one of the topics I want to talk about is taxation. So one of the fears is that, and this is a legitimate fear, so I believe in taxation. That I don't believe our societies can run without pooling together resources to pay for things like healthcare. I live in Canada. I don't think my quality of life would be nearly as great if I couldn't access the services I have, including roads, street lights, police presence, healthcare, education services, grants, funding for small businesses. These are services that in the future should all be decentralized and paid for by market participants. And I think that there are ample incentives to encourage individuals to transact and use central bank digital currencies. And I think taxation should be rolled in. And I do think that a person that does not want to pay for these services should potentially be excluded. And I do think that it should be, the more a person participates. And I don't have the answers. I don't know how this is going to work. And I do not think that a purely bank-driven, government-driven, lobbyist-driven incarnation of state digital assets really makes sense, because it's going to be extremely predatory and probably myopic in the way it's. I don't believe these systems are being developed with decentralization or the understanding of the rights that decentralization confers. I don't believe that that's baked into the protocols. I could be proven wrong, and I would be very excited to see how these projects roll out, but I fear they're going to be custodial networks that wrap up assets and are used to litigate and control in a very clunky way. But if we think about models of taxation and social participation, there are models out there that work really well. So, for example, Filecoin is an asset that you can own that provides any individual with the ability to store files. LPT is a coin that allows people to participate and own assets in video streaming. And it would be really great if, as a member of a society, if it was possible to transact in a company currency or country currency, and if that currency would confer rights like healthcare credits or other coins, and if submission of financial data would lead to bonuses, so guaranteed minimum education or healthcare or whatever credits. The same way in Canada we have something called OHIP, and you're allowed certain treatments if just by mere participation you're given your guaranteed minimum healthcare and guaranteed access to toll-free roadways and guaranteed access to police services. These rights should be baked in and automated in decentralized systems in ways where all participants have access to, fundamental services that can be managed, measured, audited, and tracked by the community, for the country, and for all citizens. This is what participatory democracy can and should look like, and we now have the technology to create those democratic systems, including taxation, raising capital, and building consensus as a country together. This is a sort of area where I think cryptocurrencies and digital assets can have a massive impact in coming years, and I believe that the politicians and financial powers that be today don't really understand how easily and how accessible these technologies are, and how quickly they could transform our republics into true participatory democracies, and how quickly that could happen. But there are people thinking about this, and if you look into decentralized autonomous organizations and you do some reading on the subject, you realize that we're very quickly approaching a potential reality where true participatory democracy could be ubiquitous with the way in that when we walk around the world, transact, buy goods and services, we could be exposed to a portfolio of rights and services which is public, auditable. We could each, as a citizen, commit code updates, feature requests, and actually add to the services that the citizens of our countries enjoy. We could share services between countries, enjoy treaties, and all of the fabric of democracy could be tied together across the world, all through decentralized asset representations, through smart contracts and through distributed systems. And we have that world right in front of us. And so there's a fundamental shift coming, and if we play this right, we can actually transform the way we relate to each other systemically and create some really powerful representative services that individual market participants, you could have school projects in university where students could post updates to healthcare services to provide better elder care, and those can be codified, accepted into the structure of the digital assets, the taxation systems, so that those rights are then rolled into a new update if voted on by the citizens of the country. So they're very powerful. The technology is moving very quickly, quicker than people are educated. But when people do catch up with their education in the next 10 or 20 years, we will see that there's going to be a beautiful world that emerges where we may participate at levels we didn't realize was possible. And if you're interested in governance and how these sort of the mental framework, you should look into how Ethereum and Bitcoin are governed and think about how this participatory democratic system could actually apply to government taxation, fundraising, and the provision of goods and services to citizens. It's a very powerful area. People are just beginning to think of it now, and it's probably one of the most important and transformative areas in our generation. Anyway, that's just another reason that decentralized technology is good, and another reason to not think merely of decentralized assets as a means to speculate.